G'day there, trendsetters. Kosher Vegan Dad here. I'm at it again with the fairy lights. I'm just setting up here a little pergola and a mechitza and some fairy lights. We're going to do Kabbalat Shabbat in the street at the front of our place. We're in a little cul-de-sac. Kind of see the dead end there. So we're going to have Kabbalat Shabbat in the street with the fairy lights to bring in Shabbos. Men and women, people of the community, a couple other synagogues are coming, and we're just going to dance in the street and have a good time. This week it's the Shabbos Project, so this Friday night from sundown till Saturday night when the stars come out, check your times. There's an idea that as many Jews from around the world as possible are going to try keep Shabbos, keep it together. And it's called the Shabbos Project. It started in South Africa by the chief rabbi, Rabbi Goldstein over there. It started in South Africa, spread to around the world. So it's a really fantastic thing. And I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for my neighbour who came and said, hey mate Josh, let's come on, let's do Shabbos in the street, we'll do it at your dead end. I said, great, alright, fine, we'll do it l'chaim in my place beforehand, yada yada yada, we got this now. So it's been nice, had a bit of a break. Thursday night, do that, and then I go shopping for Shabbos. Now in that vein, let us answer some questions from one kind and great viewer, Eliran Sobel. So Eliran Sobel, I imagine you're an Israeli, manishma, kapara. You had a few questions. Am I a shliach? No. I am a Lubavitcher. I have done, you could call it some kind of shlichus. I was involved in informal education when I was in uni and studying online and living in South Africa. I did informal education there at a couple of Jewish day schools and with Chabad there for other Jewish day schools, projects and kind of fun hands-on stuff like making candles and baking matzahs and things like that. Then we just do kind of informal stuff like this with friends and family and whatever. We try and do our part, but not an official shliach. We would love to go to New York, my family and I. We would love to go and visit the Rebbe's gravesite, which is a very holy, powerful thing, as well as 770. I went to New York when I was really, really young. Haven't been since. So we would love to go. Then the next question that Eliran had was, there is an idea about shechting an animal, that is properly slaughtering an animal, and when that's done, is there a certain elevation of the animal's soul and sparks in that? And that definitely is, I'm going to answer that, yes and no. There definitely is that idea in Hasidic philosophy that every object that exists in the world can be utilized by a person and elevated, or it can be the opposite, degraded. So we've got different life forces. I talked about this in the Rosh Hashanah video. I'm not sure if I posted that. Anyway, so I've got problems with my internet. So just Kabbalistically and Hasidically speaking, there are kind of 4 levels of vivification, of it, giving life from godliness. From lowest to highest, we've got the inanimate, that's doimim, that's your rocks, let's go down here, your rocks, right? And then we've got sameach, your grass, right? So I shouldn't even pluck that blade of grass. Maybe I could come and say, I was giving you an example. I shouldn't even pluck that blade of grass, absent-mindedly, dealing with life. So we've got the next life force is sameach. This is stuff that grows. Grass, your trees, your plants, your vegetables that you eat. Then we've got chaye, which is animals. So that's your chickens, your goats, everything. And then medaber, those who communicate, human beings. So human beings have the capacity when they utilize animal, chaye, tzomeach, vegetation, and doimim, inanimate objects, for good things, to elevate them. Now, let's bring it back to shechting the animal. In principle, when you carry out a shechita properly, and recite a blessing properly, and then you eat that animal, and then you use that energy for good deeds, in principle you are elevating that animal, in principle. Now I've got 2 problems as a 21st century individual. The question is, what happens up to the shechita with the animal? Now in today's industrialized agriculture, your chickens are raised in barns, even if they're quote unquote free range, or even free range, not that free range. They're fed antibiotics. They've culled all the males, as we know, with either gas or blend them, because nobody wants to eat a male rooster. They want to eat a nice chicken, a female chicken. And all these other problems with transporting them to the actual abattoir, to the slaughterhouse, to where the shoichet, that's the Jewish slaughter, is actually going to slaughter them. So up until then, that generally, in most places, is not carried out humanely, and therefore that's not carried out halachically, because we have prohibitions of doing harm and unnecessary harm to animals. And the Torah, the Jewish Bible, has got a lot of obligations, prohibitions, and commandments surrounding treatment of animals. And one of that is Taras Ba'al Chayim. We're not allowed to do unnecessary harm to animals. So that, I believe, in the picture is, it's all well and good to say shchita. I got two problems with this idea. I agree that the shchita and the eating with the blessing, that can be good, right? There's a window of opportunity there. Before that, though, leading up to the shchita, there's a problem with the transport of animals. And then after you've eaten them, odds are our behavior that we do, even today, and even if one is quote-unquote pious and righteous, is not really that good enough to justify killing the animal, because we have so many other forms of nutrition which are healthier, which we know scientifically, and also at the end of the day, our behavior might not justify taking that life. And there's an interesting Hayom, which is a Chabad text, quoting often teachings from the Rebbe Rayatz, that's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and other Hasidic masters. It says, in the future, the road and the stones, they're going to talk to us, and they're going to say, by what right did you have to even tread on me? By what right did you even have to walk on me? Because what, were you conducting yourself in a holy manner? Were you conducting yourself in an upright manner, in a righteous manner, in a moral manner? And we're going to have to answer that question. And how much more so are we going to have to answer to all the animal life that we killed to eat, to have a barbecue, to have a roast chicken? And we're going to have to justify our behavior. So I think on each sides of the equation of the act of killing and eating an animal, I don't know if we elevate it, and I don't know if it's justified. And that is how I reconcile my views of Judaism and meat consumption as it's advocated for in the Torah. And we're going to come to your third point. And one last thing. My wife, she's a very learned woman, God bless her, she was learning a Mishnah, I think at the end of Kiddushin, it's another video in itself, where it criticized heavily butchers and slaughterers, and says that they are taking the lives of beings, and they therefore have the attribute of Amalek, which is an evil nation in the eyes of the Torah. They're seen as violent and oppressive. So not so good for the butchers and the shchita there. And I've heard in another source attributed to the Rebbe Rayatz that a shoichet, a ritual slaughterer, has to do immense spiritual preparation and, in a way, spiritual atonement for what they're doing, and that they should be davening, praying, and learning extra for what they do to compensate, as it were, for all the lives that they take. So that's some food for thought there. So yes and no to that question. Yes, you elevate it, but no, you probably don't elevate it, and therefore you probably shouldn't do it. The last question was, what about Oneg Shabbos? So it's very fitting, Shabbos Project, we're all keeping it together to talk about Oneg Shabbat, and this is something every kosher vegan's going to get this question. And I'll have to do another video where I actually open up the source and talk about it. But standing on one foot, Oneg Shabbat means pleasure for Shabbos. And the examples given in Shulchan Aruch of meat and wine are given there because generally, for about 90, if not more % of the population, for them their pleasure is meat and wine. There's even a restaurant chain, I don't know if you got it here in Australia, it's called the Meat and Wine Bar. Because you go there, you know what you're going to get. You know, meat and wine, it's like everybody's like, great. What happens to a person who is, for whatever reason, allergic to wine or meat? Should they eat it? No, of course not, because it's not going to give them oneg, it's not going to give them pleasure. So too with a vegan or a vegetarian. These types of people make an ethical choice, or an environmental choice, or a health choice, or all three, to abstain from meat because of their beliefs. And therefore, if they eat it, it's not going to give them oneg, it's not going to give them pleasure. So don't eat it. Don't eat it. Eat what you get excited about. Eat what you enjoy. I enjoyed tofu on Shabbos. I enjoyed lentils on Shabbos. Last Shabbos I had some tofurkey. It was pretty good, but don't feel so good afterwards. But you know what I'm saying? Eat what you enjoy. So that's what you tell people. You tell people that the meat and wine in Oneg Shabbos is only given as an example, because that's what generally gives people oneg, generally gives people delight. If you don't find delight because you've worked on yourself and you've elevated your oneg, you've elevated your delight, which is going to change your ratzon, it's going to change your desire, you're going to get excited about tofu, then eat tofu. And so that's my answer to that. So no, you don't need to eat meat and wine on Shabbos. Now, the idea of Ein Simcha Ela Yedei Yain Ubasar, there's no rejoicing except with meat and wine, that is a reference to the service in the Beis HaMikdash. That's given in terms of Sukkos. And Chagim in general, festivals in general, and that reference, that expression is given about, talking about the korbanot, the sacrifices that were given in the temple, which were meat and wine. There was wine libations. They poured the wine on the mizbech. People can look that up and actually see that in the Gemara rather than just talk about rubbish, talking about barbecues. So what we're talking about there is there's no true rejoicing without the temple. Now, will there be meat korbanot in the future temple, in the third temple? May it be speedily rebuilt. We should all have peace. Now, I don't know. Nobody knows the answer to that question. We will see. And then we'll deal with that then. And hopefully we'll have to deal with that. And yeah, and I am a Kohen. So I, perhaps myself or my children will have to be doing some korbanot. So the question is, what are we going to be offering? Who knows? We'll see. We'll decide then. We'll deal with it. We'll work it out then. So that's it. Wishing you Shabbat Shalom. Stay kosher, stay vegan, stay cool. Any more questions, put them down in the thing below. Sorry, it's been hectic. Yontif, everything, cleaning up. We had crazy fun. Hope you had crazy fun. Yalla bye, stay kosher, stay vegan.